I am Sergey Achkasov, director of Russia-based Mudrost Albin Limited Liability Company. This is my reply to Ms. Almin Barton, legal owner of Russia-based company Mudrost Albin LLC. Today is March 19, year 2025. My dearest beloved Almin, I'm sorry to say that, but I still believe that it wasn't really you that recorded the walkaway message that was posted at Original One's website, although I can be mistaken. In our modern age of advanced technology, it's not too complex to use a sample of someone's real voice, type a text message into a program, and make this voice speak whatever the operators wanted to speak, either to lead people astray or for some other reasons. What makes me think that it's not really you? First of all, knowing you and working together with you for many years, I watched you being absolutely impeccable in business matters since you founded your company in Russia with my participation at your request in 2012. Up to this day, I've never been contacted by you personally, or it's not necessary that it has to be you personally to introduce any changes or to dissolve the company completely that you own, the company that you own. If this would be really your final decision in compliance with the law of Russian Federation, you could authorize anyone whom you trust with the general power of attorney. And as I already explained to our Lloyd family in answer to their questions, I can't just run away from the company, being a minority shareholder. And Original Ones Trust or Spiritual Journeys LLC cannot do it for you on your behalf, because you registered the company in Russia as a private individual and not as a corporation. You own 51% of shares. It's your private property in Russia. And I can't even dismiss myself from my position as a chief executive officer, let alone to dissolve the company without your legal participation. The real you would set all things in a proper order and make everything legally correct. I know you very well. We spent 2 years working together in Russia. And there's only one thing that we can do in this situation, to legally initiate a dissolution process. Or the other thing, to keep your business in Russia going. And if you're willing to replace me with someone else to whom you can entrust your Russian company, even if supposedly you and I continue having, I don't know what to call it, misunderstanding, miscommunication issues, I can step down. I can be dismissed. But I believe that Russian-speaking people who want to study or work in Russian because they don't understand English should not be affected. Personally, I'm not emotionally attached to the position of director of your Russian company, and I can step down and let others take my place at any time. In any case, Mudrost Almin LLC is your private property in Russia. As we agreed, my 49%, it's all nominal. I took this responsibility upon myself per your request, and I don't have moral right to claim for myself anything that you own. Your intellectual property, your Russian web store, whatever belongs to you. I'm just taking care of your business, Almin. Mudrost Almin is yours. And there are only two solutions possible, whether you want to dissolve it or to keep it open. People who posted this audio, it seems like they want to create an image of you as someone who is legally illiterate and irresponsible, which is not true. I know you well enough. I'm concerned that possibly someone intentionally attempts to ruin your reputation by publishing questionable statements signed by your name. Everything can happen. For example, if we imagine any situation with any limited liability company here in the United States or in any other countries, with two or more shareholders and an owner who is a majority shareholder, just decides to run away with no advance notice to other parties, just because he is not in a good mood, with no consensus with other board members, with no necessary paperwork done properly in compliance with the law of the country. And then he declares about such his decision somewhere on the internet. In addition to that, with throwing baseless, slanderous accusations of other parties in serious crimes without any evidence. Almin, I don't hold anything against Rohir and Original One's team. They do their job the way they do it. I don't want to even slightly challenge any style of the operation or the operation of any business which is not of my business, let alone to threaten or to even slightly think about causing harm to someone. It's millions of miles away from the harmlessness of high consciousness that you represent, and we all strive to live accordingly. I remember you told us that even to threaten anyone with karmic consequences or repercussions is black magic, let alone to threaten with physical violence. According to the state of my heart and your teachings, I can't even tell someone else that he or she will face karmic consequences or repercussions for something, let alone threaten them with violence. I still believe that it was all staged. In our modern age of technology, anyone with a certain level of IT skills can hack any email address and write whatever they want to write on behalf of whomever. I have a friend in Russia who is exceptionally knowledgeable expert in the area of artificial intelligence. He even told me that the authors who are already not alive for many decades can still talk and write and answer questions based on their archived information uploaded into the system. And he actually demonstrated me that, like Elvis Presley, who died in the 70s, still talks, sings, and answers questions. Anyone can use Sergey Kiselev's personal contact information and write on his behalf or whatever. But the policy of your Russian company, which I and your Russian support team represent, Mudrost Almin, always was, is, and will be radical non-violence. Verbal, physical, non-violence of any kind. If it was real you speaking, you would never express baseless accusation. If you don't have any evidence at your disposal, for example, my online correspondence with supposedly gangsters and drug dealers, to be honest with you, I never saw such people in my life. I respect the laws of the countries in which I live. And I will never do anything illegal. Never. I firmly believe that true mastery is impossible without respecting the laws of our countries. Regarding my business relationship with you, you clearly stated in 2019 that you are going to permanently withdraw yourself from public work. You told us that your Coming Home to Yourself book was your last book and you'll never write again and publicly teach again. When I asked you If you have any further instructions and guidelines for the Russian office, you explained to me that I should be prepared to accept you in a role of an absent partner and to take full responsibility for your Russian company. I agreed. And you and I basically parted at that time. Our last Russian language private retreat with you in December 2019 in Newport already was without your physical presence with us. And regardless of all political events, regardless of all canonical struggles, we kept your work in Russia as much as we could. And we're still doing that. Your company is in a good standing with the Russian government and Russian tax office. Although I must admit that without your personal participation, the revenue significantly decreased, and all of us, the employees, are currently have full-time jobs outside of the company. And we work for the company as volunteers. I stopped drawing salary from your Russian company since 2015. I managed to keep working full-time for the company until 2023, being sponsored by my wife's Jill's parents. In 2023, I found a full-time job in a local high school here in Denver area in Colorado. And now I can only give all my evenings, early mornings, and weekends to the work for our Russian office as a volunteer. Technically, it would be much easier for me to just leave, but I can't. It would be immoral and illegal on my part to just leave. A chief executive officer, which is my official position, can't just run away. We'll understand that. We also have volunteers that work full-time for the Russian government, especially in the area of cybersecurity. They volunteer to keep your Russian website safe and secure. We also have a professional legal team that ongoingly monitors all activities of the company. Your work in Russia is currently as penniless as it can be, I must admit that, but it's safe and secure. No outstanding debts, no legal issues. Everything is in perfect order. At least all those who wants to study your work in Russia can have access to your materials. Also, we keep doing our best to market and to advertise your web store as much as we can, and we hope for the best. I personally will never draw any income from your company, regardless of the level of its success. It's my firm decision forever. At the very least, we would restore Lyubov to a full-time salary-based position at some point. But it's also not our top priority for now. Our highest priority now is to keep your work going, no matter what, to the best of our highest capacities. And when it starts bringing some substantial revenues again, that can happen in the observable future. We will find a way to resume sending you royalties. Hopefully, Russia will be unblocked by Visa and MasterCard in some future. And other financial services that transfer funds. We hope for peaceful solution for Russia-Ukraine crisis. Currently, transferring funds from Russia is not only challenging, but technically completely impossible. But we'll find solution when we'll finally earn something decent to transfer to you or to anyone you designate as a recipient per your instruction. I understand that you prefer not to communicate with me directly, and I don't insist on that. Currently, there are no questions and concerns from my end. Everything was clear enough in 2019 and still clear enough. Much love to you.